Blessings, greetings, and so we talk Darchinom in a pleasant way. We talk a lot about Darchi Shalom in a peaceful way. But there are certain things that do irk me. Say, oh, how could I be irked? Well, I'm flesh and blood, and there's a soul enclosed in my flesh and blood and in my body, just like yours, blessed soul. But one thing that does irk me is that I have this membership at Facebook. Hashem, blessed be the Most High. It's a wonderful vessel for fellowshipping or fellowy shipping, because I also correspond with women as well as men talking about matters of spirituality as it relates to the written Torah and the oral Torah traditions, which are part and parcel, like body and soul, soul and body, as the tradition of the nation of Israel, the 12 tribes of Israel, which I humbly am a part of. Now, the truth of the matter is there is an oral tradition and a written tradition for the children of Noah. Some of it manifests exactly like ours, some of it doesn't, and some of it also manifests into different forms of spirituality, which we of Israel do not accept. However, we hold that in certain areas of spirituality outside of the Torah, it is permissible. In certain areas, it's not. But the one thing that irks me is that someone comes to try, in the name of their own understanding of Torah, and as a Jew, and sometimes people who are not Jews, Noahites, come and say, well, my tradition is false, and their tradition is the truth. So, being that there is a Torah axiomatic teaching brought down from the oral Torah, the question is, what is more important? Learning or doing? And the fact of the matter is that on one level, learning is greater, because how can you do the correct thing unless you don't learn how to do the correct thing? On the other hand, if you just learn and don't do, what is the real purpose of your learning? If it's not truly for sanctifying the Most High, it's for self-aggrandizement. So when people try to engage me in quote-unquote debate, I get irked because they're wasting my time and they're wasting their time in trying to prove who is right or wrong. In particular, when someone comes to tell me that I'm wrong for spreading the 7 Noah commandments, Shevet B'nai Noach, which every great Israelite sage has said for the past 3,800 years, going back to Abraham, the original Yehudi, the original Jew, and from someone who came 9 generations before him, Noach, that this is the right way. And then my only response is, well, you follow Yehoshua, who is the messianic figurehead, or Messiah, Mashiach for Christians, or people who are not Christians but consider him to be their Mashiach and consider themselves to be Jews or Ephraimites or whatever they want to call themselves. I say, fine, go ahead. That's your Rebbe. That's your teacher. But he's not mine. And when you try to ram him on my throat, I'll remind you that he didn't fulfill over 300 prophecies. So in Torah, we go after the majority for a decision. So the response is that we Jewish people are holding information. Well, looking back at me, blessed souls, if you were to, this is a webcam, if you were to span a camera around my room and in the kitchen, where we humbly live, and in our children's playroom, we'd have over 600 books to process and learn, to digest, and to pray about, and to talk and debate, whatever you want to call it. But we talk about these things. So if you like peppermint tea, and I like apple cinnamon tea, that's the way it is. And I try to tell individuals this type of mentality. If it's that important to you to prove that you're right with me, I got news for you. You have to prove more than just me, because I'm not a leader of tens of thousands, of hundreds of thousands, of millions of people. I'm a man, just a humble Torah activist. I would like to see you engage in a debate with people like Moses and Isaiah and Jeremiah, Daniel, Mordechai, Esther, Zachariah, the sages, the later day sages, Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi, Shimon Bar Yochai, Rabbi Akiva, the 7 Lubavitcher Rebbes, the Vilna Gaon. And if if you can talk to them Torah in the language of the Torah, whether it be Hebrew or Aramaic, or even it was translated into Greek and Yiddish, because most of the people wouldn't speak English with you. Majority of them wouldn't. So you're coming with an interpretation according to an interpretation of an interpretation and saying, this is the truth, and we don't have the truth. Well, we know that not all of the truth of the Torah is revealed because some of it is hid in certain places, which will remain unnamed right now. When Mashiach comes, all those places will be forced to cough out what they have stolen from the nation of Israel, as well as other traditions which are lost in the passage of time. And this happened to great Israelites. From the time of the passing of leadership from Moses to Joshua, Yahshua bin Nun, traditions were lost perhaps because of the intense struggle of the conquering of the land of Israel from the Canaanites. And there are other causes throughout history which cause us to lose certain traditions. But when we are told by someone else that we are holding back information, well, we say, listen, if you think we're holding back the information, come and learn Hebrew, whether it be Kasuv Ashori or Paleo Hebrew, which some people want to say is the original Hebrew, which we know is not. It is a script form, just as the difference between the typeset in a book and your own handwriting. It's certainly a kosher form of Hebrew, Lashon HaKodesh, but it's not the original. So these type of things, if it really bothers you, go into all these languages of which the Torah was transmitted and talk to the great ones, not someone like me. You're wasting my time because I'm trying to encourage other people to upgrade their thoughts, upgrade their speech, upgrade their actions, and I speak of myself before anyone else. It's all part of my own personal man-on-the-street efforts to try to be a better human being and try to fellowship with other people, which to me is the spirit of the eternal Torah of Israel and part of the Torah of the blessed children of Noah. So we will end B'dar Chinom in a pleasant way, B'dar Shalom in a peaceful way, Havachad, one love, Gorel Echad, one destiny, Kulan of all of us. L'hamshich, to be continued, B'birchas Hashem Yisbrech, with the blessings of the Most High. And when you meditate about Most High, there's no reason to think about how others should die.